We all know that pricing a listing properly results in the highest price possible for your client. But how do you present a CMA and have a pricing strategy discussion with your client? Today, we will show you a role play of having the CMA conversation as well as discussing pricing strategy.
All right, Camelia, let's do this. You're going to be hard, I have a feeling. You're going to be really difficult. Okay, so Camelia, we reviewed our marketing plan. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. We're going to get into what we feel like our marketing price should be. So I pulled all of the recent sales near 907 Columbia. And there's really three that stood out to me as being the most comparable. So what I've done is I've basically created this spreadsheet for us to take a look at, and I made adjustments to each of the properties to try to get them to be as close as possible in terms of apples to apples comparison. So if something had a feature that ours didn't, we're going to make an adjustment for that. So for 733 Irving Street Northwest, that home was very similar. Ended up closing for about $610, but you had an extra bathroom, which gives you a little bonus. So once that was adjusted, it was around $640. 776 Fairmont was adjusted to $669,350, and then Harvard Street Northwest was $642,500. So if we averaged all of those out, those adjusted prices out, it was about $649,000. Side note, I would actually have like the MLS link so I could show the pictures as well. Like I would want to make sure that I'm giving her a visual because this is not super visual, and I think most people like to see pictures of things. So in terms of your property, I think we're probably going to end up somewhere around $640 to $650 if we price it properly. So let me get this. So I'd like to come back to this slide, which I included in the pre-listing packet. Basically, if we price at market value, which I feel like is somewhere in the $640 to $650 range, we're really only going to capture 60% of the buyers that are currently in the market. So that's the number of people who will come tour the home. If we price from market value to negative 10% below market value, we're going to capture 15% more buyers. So my advice is to always choose a marketing price of somewhere between market value and the negative 10% market value. Now, I don't think we have to go 580. I think that that's a little ridiculous, but I feel like if we could go 3 to 5% below market, you're going to capture more buyers. And not only does that mean that we're probably going to have the best chance to get the highest price, but we're also going to have the best chance to have the most amount of offers, which means that we might get people who are able to waive contingencies or be a little bit more competitive on contingencies. So how do you feel about that?
Okay. Two questions. Yeah. On the property that was on Harvard, if you want to go back. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I understand it's got 2.5 bathrooms, so it's got a half bathroom extra. The square footage is similar, and it closed at a much higher, right? 687. Do you know what that would be? What is it that's he's got new kitchen. Maybe that's what it is.
The whole interior was renovated.
Okay.
So it was all brand new inside.
Okay.
Which definitely adds a very high value to a potential buyer because there's no cash out of pocket there. I feel like the likely buyer of your property is going to be either a move-up buyer who would like to make updates over time, or a first-time buyer who is looking for an affordable row home option. Because you haven't made the big updates, so the kitchen's not updated, the bathrooms aren't updated, it's going to be a little bit harder for us to get a higher price because of that. Because in this market, in DC especially, it's expensive. And so buyers are kind of strapped for cash. So if they can get something that's renovated already and they can finance that renovation basically by just buying something a little bit more expensive, they're more likely to do that. So while I don't think we have a bad product, like I think there's definitely a buyer for your home, like 100%. I just don't think we're going to be able to command the high end of the range just because we don't have those updates.
Okay. I know I have some friends who who sold their house and their agent priced it below the market a little bit to create a lot of interest, a lot more, and offers. So she had multiple offers, and the price that we got closed was actually a little above the price that they were originally, that was the market value basically.
Yeah.
Would that do you think be a good strategy? Because if you think that is a good strategy, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to this slide, which is I feel like we're going to end up somewhere in the 640 to 650 range potentially. So my advice, especially in this market right now, if you do not nail the marketing price or the list price right away, you're not going to sell. And it's just a risk. There's a lot of buyers out there. We have not a lot of inventory. So if you don't price properly that first weekend or two on the market, you're really shooting yourself in the foot because people are going to think, well, no one wanted to write 1 million offers, so what's wrong with this property? So my advice, if you're comfortable with it, would be to go in somewhere around probably 615, 620, and that will give you the best chance of getting multiple offers. So obviously, there's no guarantee in the market and it's your decision, but just based on the numbers and based on what I know about the market right now, it's much better to underprice by a little bit to drive interest than to price at exactly what you think it's going to sell for, and only get one offer or risk getting no offers.
Okay, you sold me on that, just knowing that this argument that there are more buyers and you don't want to alienate them by pricing it even market value, and then you lose your chances of selling it at what price you really want. And so I'll go with that.
You completely understand what I'm saying. The last thing you want is for your property to become a stigmatized property in this market, because everything is selling. And if it doesn't sell, it starts to make buyers wonder, why isn't this selling? There's something wrong with this that I'm not aware of. So how do you feel about 619? Does that sound like
that sounds good
marketing price? Okay, great. Well, to go ahead with that one.
Pricing can be hard. It's part art, part science. But you're the expert and you have the expertise to help your client make an informed and great decision. Ultimately, you want to create urgency and buyer demand to give your client the best shot at getting the best terms and the best price. Hopefully, this gave you some ideas on how to have more constructive conversations with your potential clients.